What do you think is the biggest mystery in gaming? Mount Chiliad from GTA 5? Gaster from Undertale? The meaning of the text on the statue of Super Mario 64? Well, for me, the biggest mystery is why is there not an official John Wick game yet? I only watched the first film, but even I think an official AAA John Wick game would be awesome. I mean, yeah, there's John Wick X. Well, I do think translating the action of the John Wick films into a tile-based strategy game is a really cool idea. I don't think it's really what people wanted out of a John Wick game, but it was still an okay game. Too bad it got delisted for no reason. There was also an official John Wick VR game called John Wick Chronicles, which looks really cool. Too bad that also got delisted for no reason. So, with the only official John Wick games gone, that only leaves John Wick inspired games, which mostly consists of indie games, including the one I want to recommend today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, in my opinion, the closest we might get to an actual John Wick game. Suit for Hire.
Check this out.
Dang it! Shoot for Hire is an action shooter game developed by God Mode Interactive. It released in June 20th, 2025, only on Steam. The thing that stood out for me about this game is that not only does this game have a top-down perspective like Hotline Miami and many other games inspired by it, but also a third-person perspective, which honestly is what sold me on this game, because personally, this is my preferred perspective for shooter games, but you can choose which one you want to play with in the menu and can even change to either one during gameplay. Neat! You play as a suit for hire who gets tasked to do various missions throughout the world, and that's the extent of the story. There is very little story in this game. However, you do get context for each level, which is nice. Before going into a mission, you can choose the appearance of your character and what pistol you want to use during the level, and then you start shooting. Sometimes you have to take down waves of enemies in one big area, sometimes you have to wind something up while protecting yourself from enemies, but most of the time you have to go from A to B while taking down a lot of enemies. Well, if that's the case, how's the combat of this game then? Well, it's freaking awesome. The combat consists of blending gunplay with melee. Melee is straightforward. You can punch to do some easy damage, you can kick to do the same as well as break enemies' guard or push them against a wall or off a ledge. You can grab to also push them against a wall or off a ledge, or use them as a human shield. There's also a counter you can do by pressing E, which gives you a window to execute the enemy, where you kill them instantly and regain all your ammo for your pistol. You can also execute enemies if you're near them and haven't spotted you yet, or if you have dealt enough damage. Then, of course, there's the gunplay. It works like any other shooter, but with a few quirks to it, like how ammo works. To regain ammo in this game, you either have to execute enemies like I already mentioned, get ammo boxes scattered around levels, or get clean suits, where you have to one-shot kill 7 enemies in a row without missing. I love that clean suits are a way to get more ammo, because that's a way of the game rewarding you for performing well, which is really good game design. There are various pistols you can choose from, which you can unlock as you progress through the game. Each pistol has their own strengths and weaknesses, as well as cool special abilities called ultimates. For example, the SVP-30LB, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, I don't know my guns very well. The first gun you have in the game is the balanced pistol in terms of damage and range, and its ultimate allows you to shoot 7 rounds that can pierce through weaker surfaces or enemies easier. There's also the Coulter PP7S, which is the best for stealth due to it not making a lot of noise, but it does deal less damage the farther away your target is. Its ultimate lets you reload and enter a stealth mode, where enemy detection is reduced. You can pretty much choose whatever weapon you want in every level. The only thing that could alter your choice of pistol is the challenges of each level. For example, for a no-death challenge, using the Hunter .500 is the best due to its ultimate replenishing armor, which allows you to tank more hits before you die. Speaking of the challenges are a bit of a mixed bag in my opinion. On face value, they look like fun ways of the game teaching you the different mechanics it has, but in reality, the best way to beat most of these challenges is to just spam what they ask of you from the start of the level until you beat the challenge, which isn't really fun, to be honest. And there's others that are frustrating to do, like the one where you have to kill 4 enemies with 1 bullet. It's annoying because I have to stop what I'm doing and have to try to align 4 enemies in a row to do the challenge. But the enemies just don't want to comply. Even others, like the no damage ones that are quite intense and are very satisfying to pull off. The best way to beat these are to play safe through the entire level, which again isn't really a fun way to play this game. There are luckily some challenges that do seamlessly intertwine with how you most likely will play this game normally, like these 2 for example, but all in all, I think the challenges are satisfying to complete, but when I beat them, I mostly go, oh, finally, now I can enjoy the game again. So I wouldn't really recommend going for them if they're too time consuming, unless you want to go for all the achievements or want to unlock more drip. Apologies for ranting for a while there. Where was I? Oh yeah, pistols, however, aren't the only weapons you can use, as there are various secondary weapons as well you can get lying around or from enemies. There's also 4 movement options in the game, namely sprinting, dodging so that you can avoid attacks, crouching to use cover, and a Max Payne style dive, which I love to use. The dive especially goes very well with the focus mechanic, where you can slow down time to aim your shots easier or to get a better layout of your surroundings. However, sprinting, dodging, grabbing, and focus use up stamina, and running out of stamina while you are in a pinch can really mess you up. This game in general is pretty difficult. The enemies can get really aggressive and aren't afraid to sneak up on you or snipe you from far away. I played on normal, where after 2 hits, I'm dead. Luckily, it's more the frustrating type of challenging, because as long as you focus and use the mechanics the game gives you, then you should overcome the obstacles the game throws at you. There's also stealth in this game, where you can execute enemies before you are spotted, but you'll most likely get spotted pretty quickly still, which I'm okay with. Stealth isn't particularly the most fun part of the game anyway. All in all, the combat is incredibly fun. The aforementioned mechanics alongside the smooth controls and the satisfying sound effects makes the gameplay of this game so good. And most importantly, makes you feel like Duke Kaboom. Not only does the game excel with its gameplay, but also with its soundtrack. Generally, it can go so hard. composer of the soundtrack is an artist named Innertone Productions. They did a fantastic job making the songs fit with the game so well, while still just being an absolute bop to listen to. They have a YouTube channel and SoundCloud if you want to check their stuff out. I also really like the visual style of the game. It's got a nice comic book feel to it, amplified by stuff like the word click appearing sometimes when you shoot your pistol. There's also this cool detail I like where shooting a shotgun pushes you back, especially where you're on the floor. I just find that detail very cool. There's also quite a few cool references in this game, like how one of the pistol's ultimate, called the Deadeye, is literally the Deadeye mechanic from Red Dead Redemption. There's also the aforementioned Max Payne dive. Some of the clothes are references as well, like John Wick and The Matrix. On the topic of the character customization in this game, it's pretty detailed and the drip goes hard. The trophy for completing all the challenges in the Tokyo series is a nod to Cyberpunk 2077.
Wake the f up, samurai.
And my favorite reference. When you kill 6 enemies in a row with a pistol, the game says, "You're breathtaking," just like Keanu Reeves.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
In terms of gripes I have with the game, the biggest one for me has to do with the levels. The levels all around are fun to play through, don't get me wrong. The problem lies with the length of them. I'll be using speedrun.com to roughly prove my point. The ones in the beginning are nice and long, but not too long. But when you get to Roma, the third location that is unlocked, the levels start getting a lot shorter and less for each location. They're still fun, but most of them from Roma onwards end quite abruptly. The game's also a bit buggy too, like how sometimes the executions are performed to the air. Also, before selecting a level, you can see placeholder text, which is a bit odd. And then there's also my issue with the challenges, which I already mentioned. And that's about it in terms of gripes. I don't really have many complaints, and most of them can be fixed through patches, thankfully. As for my gripe with the levels, it luckily doesn't ruin the game, it's just something I thought was worth mentioning. In conclusion, Suit for Hire is awesome, and you should play it right now, especially if you like Hotline Miami style games or want something to keep you busy until that official John Wick game finally comes out. If it even exists. Oh, a new Sony State of Play? I should check that out. So yeah, just when I wanted to finish this video, an actual official John Wick game gets announced. And am I hyped? Oh yes, I am. I do want to make something clear. While I think it would be cool to see this game maybe take a bit of inspiration from indie John Wick-like games like Suit for Hire and Hotline Miami, ultimately, I do want this game to be its own thing. Suit for Hire has its own identity, and I want the John Wick game to have its own as well. I don't want it to replace games like Suit for Hire, but rather to stand beside them. Adobe Express is great, isn't it? Anyway, back to Suit for Hire. Despite my issues with the game, like with its levels and the challenges, I still think this game is a blast, and is a very well-made game which I highly recommend you play. The dev of this game, Crimson, also has a YouTube channel where he does devlogs and such of games he works on, including Suit for Hire. I recommend checking out his channel. It's good stuff. Godmod Interactive is also working on another game called Ronin 2072, a more samurai-themed roguelite taking place in a cyberpunk setting, which looks awesome. Thank you, Godmode Interactive, for making such an awesome and incredibly fun game. And let's all hope that that AAA John Wick game will also be awesome. Right, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.